Hi, I'm Casey Hollins, and you're watching another edition of the Sportsnet.ca digital panel. Today I'm joined by Michael Grange, Jordan Heath-Rawlings, and Jeff Simmons. And today we're talking about something a little bit controversial. Probably the most bizarre ending to a football game that we've ever watched was the Monday night football game, Seattle Seahawks against the Green Bay Packers. And I want to know from you guys, are the refs completely 100% fully to blame for the outcome of that game?
The real refs or the replacement refs?
The replacement refs.
Well, I would say I think the crew on hand definitely has a lot to answer for. They had that 10-minute delay between the touchdown or non-touchdown and the extra point, and the whole world's watching the replays except them, or what they're watching. They can't alter the call, and obviously the pass interference aspect or the offensive pass interference aspect was, I don't know what you guys thought. It was egregious, quite obvious, and the wrestling on the ground, real refs miss calls, but those guys, they can't even get their missed calls coordinated. So.
Well, it was a tough call to take, but the worst part about it was that was, I think, the fourth critical play in that game that had been decided by a blown call, and there were three critical drives, one in the second quarter, one in the third, and one in the fourth, all of which were extended by either a pass interference penalty or some other kind of penalty that you could easily watch and say that the refs made a mistake. And once it gets to that point, you have to understand that it's affecting the outcome of games on more than just the last play.
Jeff, do you agree?
Yeah, there was one call in the fourth quarter outside of the play of the game where Russell Wilson threw an interception, and they called some phony roughing the passer penalty. If that play happens, Seattle might not even have the ball with a chance to win. So there's more than just the final call that comes down to these replacement refs.
That's it. I think you guys make a great point, is that I think you can, it's almost like the butterfly flapping its wings in Japan. Like, how does it affect, the waves crashing on the Pacific Ocean, an ocean away? So a call in the first quarter, in some ways, could determine a game as much as a call in the fourth quarter. And I think people accept, obviously, that refs make mistakes. That's part of the game, even with instant replay, even with flag challenges, the calls aren't always right, or the outcome isn't always seen as just. But I think the issue here is nobody wants to see anyone but the best referees make mistakes. If the best guys are blowing it, then you live with it. Gamblers can suffer, and the fans can get as mad as they want. But when it's guys who are not second drawer, not third drawer, but probably fourth drawer quality officials making mistakes, multiple mistakes, at any point in the game, people aren't going to stand for it.
And you lose the benefit of the doubt when that happens. I think the regular refs, at least, when you make calls 80, 90% of the time and you get it right, the fans are willing to forgive that you might miss a call once in a while. But when you've already missed multiple calls in that game, they're going to be suspicious of every flag that gets thrown.
Now, Golden Tate was the receiver that was ultimately credited with the catch, and he had no problem saying that he made that catch and that they deserved that game-winning touchdown. And there were a lot of people on social media afterwards that did not agree with that and said he should have been a man and been more sportsmanlike and said, no, I didn't make that catch. That wasn't the right call. Do you agree with that at all? I have to say I don't.
Unless you're playing in a league where they give out oranges at halftime, I don't think so. This is a big business. These guys are paid to win. The call on the field stands, and Golden Tate, you could argue, made a great play. And that there's probably been a lot of conversation, in dressing rooms, in meetings, that says, hey, look, let's push the limits. And there you are. It's a Hail Mary. By definition, the odds are low that it's going to succeed. So why not push a guy out of the way? Why not try and see what kind of play you can make? If you lose it on a call, you lose it on a call. You weren't going to make the catch anyway.
If that play gets knocked down in the end zone the way you're supposed to knock down a Hail Mary instead of trying to intercept it, there's no debate about it. So in a way, you can put it on the Seahawks a little bit. On the Packers.
See, I think this is one of the problems with social media. Too many people have a voice. Has anyone heard Tom Brady say that the Tuck rule was a fumble? I don't think so. So he should take the credit while he can.
Another one of the big complaints with the replacement refs, aside from mistakes that they've been making, or I guess it's tied into that, is the idea that they're affecting player safety out there by not making the calls that they should, and the players are really testing their limits to see what they can get away with. Do the players need to take any of the responsibility for endangering themselves on the field by kind of playing chicken with the refs to see how dirty they can get?
I think it's that substitute teacher analogy that's been kicking around. I think it's a perfect one. And again, it goes back to this is the NFL. Guys are out there to try and win. And sure, you would like to wish that in the act of winning, they aren't injuring themselves or injuring other guys or trying to do that. But that really is where I think the replacement refs are a big issue. You can't expect them at that level of competition with that amount of scrutiny to control the game the right way. And things are going to get out of hand. And it doesn't have to be a matter of intent. It can be one thing leads to the next. We've all seen it in sports. And if it happens in football, the results can be scarier than in a lot of other games.
And players have relationships with the regular referees. And they understand, there's a limit to what they can get away with. And they understand what to expect. And that's a big deal when you're talking about whether or not you're going to escalate a confrontation. If you're looking at a guy that you've seen across the field from you, through your whole career, and you know what he's going to stand for and what he's not going to stand for, you think a second before you do it. When it's somebody who's not shown you that they have any ability to control a game, you're going to take whatever shot you can.
Yeah, in week 2, there were a couple of games that just got out of control. So in week 3, I noticed a lot of games were being flagged a lot more. I heard a couple coaches say this week that they've been studying the refs to learn their tendencies. So I'm sure these players have picked up on what refs call what and how many flags are being thrown out. So they're doing all they can to win the games.
Bottom line, is Roger Goodell, is the NFL, are they putting their players and their employees at risk right now with the replacement referees?
I think anytime you put, on any given game, you have $250 million of salary on a field. Anytime you give guys the best jet travel, the best massage therapy, the best food. Anytime you're doing anything as a league or as a brand or as a club that somehow doesn't treat your racehorses with the utmost care and feeding, I guess would be the probably inappropriate analogy. You're putting guys at risk, and obviously I think this is an extreme example of you're gambling, I think.
It blows my mind. I mean, you put it really well in your Sportsnet column yesterday, just about how much money is on the table here for the NFL, for the owners, and they can't be bothered to share what's essentially a drop in a gigantic bucket in the interest of making sure the players have both the right calls on the field and have guys that will ensure their safety.
Yeah, speaking of player safety, Roger Goodell's been extremely contradicting. He talks about player safety, but schedules 4 games for the Ravens in 19 days. And last year in the lockout, he's talking 18-game schedule. That's not safety. That's a money thing, and that's what Roger Goodell's good at.
And that's what they seem to be complaining about, the players and fans alike. The reports right now are that the regular referees in the league are quite close to a deal now. Not surprisingly, Monday night's catastrophe has brought the two sides back to the table, and they're talking seriously. If they do get the regular refs back on the field for Sunday, can the league repair the damage that it's done to its image, the way that it's angered its fans? Can it redo that?
Short answer, I think yes. I mean, there's been no evidence that, despite the controversy, that fans ratings have continued to be high, fans have continued going to games. So I think if they do the right thing and get this fixed sooner than later, the league will be fine and march on as it always does.
Yeah, I think the ratings that just came out today, actually, the NFL broadcasts were number 1 in all 30 markets that they were shown in on the weekend, which is the first time they've ever been number 1 in all 30 markets for the first 3 weeks of the season. So despite all the controversy, the ratings have never been higher, and I think we'll all surprise ourselves with how quickly we go back to complaining about the regular officials when they get back on the field.
Yeah, the Green Bay fans have to be the angriest people, and I imagine they'll be watching on Sunday with the regular refs, and they'll be quick when the refs come back to go back to the normal NFL.
And we'll all have something to say about some call that happens on Sunday, replacement refs or regular refs. So before we leave, and we're running out of time, but I just want to know what you guys think. Do you think that we're going to have the regular refs back for Sunday, yes or no?
I think they will, I think once you start hearing that there's momentum in talks, and given the leverage the refs have right now and the embarrassment the NFL suffered to this point, it would be crazy to go another week.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Michael. Once you've suffered this level of embarrassment and you combine that with the fact that now reports of a deal getting done, they can't back down now, because if they don't, it'll just look like they really don't care about their fans.
I couldn't agree anymore. They need the refs back by Sunday. There should be a deal in place by then.
Well, here's to hoping. We're out of time for today, but to keep up on the latest news regarding the replacement referees and everything NFL, Sportsnet.ca is your spot. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll be back with another Sportsnet.ca digital panel in no time.